Good morning to one and all attending the webinar. I'm glad to welcome you to the SOLIDWORKS Electrical webinar today. So I'm Shriganda and I work as an application engineer for electrical suite of products. So I'll be taking over the entire topics that we'll be covering today. So today's topic, as you can see on the screen, is optimizing electrical system design for mobility using SOLIDWORKS Electrical. So in this, we will try to look at how the from scratch we'll be able to generate a circuit and how it can be taken over to the 3D interface as well and how it can be utilized. So let's move on to our next agenda. So basically what I have for us today is first we look at the typical industry scenario whenever a product is being developed. And then we have the wire harness and its purpose. So we'll try to look at what is the wire harness, why we are using it, what is the uses of it, and how we can use it in electrical. And we have electrical harness design challenges. So I'll be discussing a few challenges that I have seen in clients and what we will be able to take as a whole and try to address those challenges with the product demonstration that I have. So last we'll have a Q&A session where you can put forth all your questions and I'll be able to address them. So coming to the first thing that I want to cover here is a typical industry scenario. So a typical industry scenario is based on a product that we will be providing. So as you're all based on product development, so you know that your product is first going to be in the market competition. So this product will be affected by the main source, that is market competition, where I will be able to understand that okay, this is the product, this is the different competitors for this product, and how well you can showcase your product better than the others. So next thing that affects the product is the high design cycle time. So we know that when you have electrical systems and mechanical systems, the communication between both the systems is sometimes not that collaborated well. So in case of SolidWorks Electrical, we have a electrical and mechanical collaboration. So that's why we have the entire solution set within our reach itself. So the high design cycle time also affects the product. So next we have is the project errors. So in any given electrical system design, we know that project errors are a main thing. So how to address this? What are the solutions for the errors? So all of that also we'll be able to look into. So usually when you're going for the product development, so there'll be low productivity based on all the three topics that I've covered till now, and based on how your design solution is aiding you to complete your project. So all of these functionalities would be affecting your product to the utmost. So to change that or to adopt yourself to the new system in such a way that you efficiently produce the product without any issues is what we'll be looking at today. So coming to the next item on the agenda here, that is I want to describe to you what is the main use of this harness and how it is used in SolidWorks Electrical. So first, the basic question that I would question here is, so what is a harness? So on the left hand side of the screen, you can see that there is a harness design that is represented on the board. So any given system will have a harness if you want to have organized routing between all the components. So majorly we see it in mobility systems, but apart from that also you can see on the image. So on panel boards also they go for harness systems. So which will allow them to have a track of all the set of wires that are there in wire set, and then utilize that or change that based on how they are being used. So we know that a wire harness is an organized bunch of individual wires represented in a given circuitry. So that's what we are addressing on the left hand side. The purpose of a wire harness, what is it? So we know that We know that the purpose of a wire harness is to unite individual wires into a single unit to efficiently transmit electrical power and signals. So these power losses and all of that, you need to design that exactly in such a way that the harness will be continuously supplying the power and the signals without any losses. So testing that out in a physical atmosphere is much more difficult. So that's when you can take the aid of solutions like SolidWorks Electrical, which will help you to digitally take a look at the harness before you go into the production side. So majorly, we see harness designs in mobility systems where electrical vehicles are being utilized or being developed. So, hence the topic that I have chosen for today. So, I have a set of design challenges for electrical that I want to address here. So, whenever you go for any kind of electrical system design, not necessarily a software solution or a hardware solution. So you know that when you go for wiring and routing, manual wire and device numbering is a major issue because you will have to manually wire the numbers, and there's no automatic way of doing it, and device numbering as well. So device numbering, we know that we're using three capacitors, but we don't know what is the exact naming that we are providing to the capacitor. Sometimes duplications will be allowed. So in that case, it's normal human error to have these kinds of issues when you're going for manually. So to avoid that, we have solutions in SolidWorks Electrical. Similarly, with the next point that you can see, that is symbol customization. So for any given system or for any startup also, symbol customization is an important thing. So symbol customization, why do we need it? Is say standard symbols you are using in your projects, but you want to utilize your own inbuilt company based symbols, so that also can be done in the SolidWorks Electrical. So we know that bill of materials needs to be intact and perfect if you're going to be working with electrical components. There'll be hundreds of components, and you cannot keep manually checking the bill of materials every single time. So for that, we have an automated bill of material system that will allow me to check if my number of components and the bill of materials shown is correct or not. So next thing is quality. So what is quality in case of SolidWorks Electrical is it impacts the design cycle time. So we know that when you're manually doing it or when you're focusing on the design, you need to have a exact time frame within which you need to finish it, and you need to finish it easily and efficiently. So for that, SolidWorks Electrical is a major option that you can opt for addressing all these issues. Similarly, likewise, you can see project cost and timelines as well can be reduced and can be met with the help of our solution, which will aid us to go for a better designing experience. Coming to design challenges in case of electrical harness. So up to now, we have seen generally how electrical designs are being affected, what are the design challenges. Now coming particularly to electrical harness. So particularly in electrical harness, we need to have intelligent schematics. That is because if, as you can see on the right hand side, there are a bunch of wires being engulfed within the harness. So we need to know what wire is running through that harness, what is the details of the wires. So in that case, the schematics must be intelligent. So it should allow me to change the values at any point in time, and it should allow me to also view the properties of the wires, the wire numbering, all that. So those kinds of details can be challenging for someone who is not using SolidWorks Electrical. So we will see all of these challenges being addressed during the product demo. The next point that you can see is error checking and design rules. So design rules basically will have some standard set of rules that you have to follow to develop a harness. So in that case, we'll just be able to address it with the help of design rule checks, and we'll be able to check what is the error based on the representations that are there. And next point that you can see is design reuse. So we know that out of 100% design, almost 20 to 30% of the design is always almost repetitive. So in case of repetitive designs, so you'll have to develop it from scratch if you're doing it manually. But with the help of SolidWorks Electrical, you can do it much more quickly and easily, which I'll be showcasing later on. So we have parts management and reports and documentation. So part management is basically we'll be providing manufacturing part details to every single component that we'll be using in SolidWorks Electrical. So how to manage that, how to address it based on this design challenge we will be seeing. Reports and documentation and automated cable wire harness. So all of these is automated. So I will be showcasing to you how that can be done as well. Now, in the case of a form board, so we know that on the right hand side, that is a form board that we are looking at. And what we are avoiding here by using solutions like SolidWorks Electrical is you don't have to manually go for the harness directly. You can create digital form boards and manufacturing drawings, and then you can go into the physical atmosphere. So these are some design challenges that are brought out in the market or in the industry. So we'll be addressing all of this with the help of SolidWorks Electrical. Now we'll just take a look at why we are choosing SolidWorks over everything else. So you can see automated wiring is one major concept that is powering this entire tool, because we don't have to manually sit and wire each and every component that is available. If there are around 50 components, you have to 50 times you have to manually connect all the components. But in case of electrical, we just have to give an automated wiring technique and it will do it all the job for you. We also have an enhanced symbol library. So we have manufacturing libraries, symbol libraries, cable library, wire library. So a lot of libraries like this are already existing. And if you want to create on your own also, those options are also available. This enhanced symbol library, why we are highlighting here is because we have up to 4 lakh components that are available in our library. And not only that, we will be able to utilize it later on as well. Harness grouping also is available, which will allow me to segregate different types of harnesses in a way that if I want to run harness 1 and check how it is affecting my assembly, I can do that. If I want to run harness 2, I can do that. So they are not dependent on each other, they can be independent as well. So manufacturing parts management, as I've mentioned before, we have up to 4 lakh components that will be available for you on your fingertips for you to use. Apart from that, schematic and 3D data synchronization. So this is the electrical and mechanical collaboration scale that we were talking about earlier. So we will see how that is also doing. So by using all the factors that I have said till now, what we are doing is we are improving the design cycle time. So this is why we believe SolidWorks Electrical could be a great solution set for your harness design systems. Now, what happens in SolidWorks electrical design is first we'll go for the schematic, then we'll go for the 3D, and then you can proceed on to production. So this is the procedure that we follow through. So design workflow also you can see first thing we'll be doing is line diagram schematics, 2D layout, how it is represented, and then we will move on to 3D design and routing, which will help us to completely showcase the electrical design in a mechanical atmosphere as well. So let's see the product demo. So let's take a look at how the particular data is here. So as you can see, this is the interface of SolidWorks Electrical, and for this particular demo set, I have created this project which will allow me to show all of its capabilities of SolidWorks Electrical, and we'll be able to view the same. Okay. So the first page that you can see here, so you can see the project data is available here, and as and when I'm moving any kind of topic that I'm choosing with the help of my cursor, you can see here a versatile property panel that is also changing such a way that I will be able to immediately change all the data on the fly itself while designing. So I don't have to individually go and make any property changes. So the first page that I have highlighted here is the cover page. So cover page is where basically you will be mentioning your customer details, your contract details, all of that information will be filled out here. The next thing that we have is a content list. So a content list basically will be like an index page. So it will tell me what are the components that are available in this particular project from 1 to 8. You can see all of them are available. Now what we are doing in this particular example here is we'll be able to open any kind of page from this particular index page itself, because this is embedded with links. It's not just a list of topics that are available in the project. If I double click on any of the particular links, it will directly take me to the page that I clicked on. So I clicked on page 3, and you can see automatically this page 3 has opened up for me, so that I can take a look at it and make the changes. And immediately if I want to get through here. So navigation will allow me to understand how it can be used. So coming to the third page, you can see this is named as overview. So we know that in case of mobility, we need to have the system in such a way that the controller is connected to all the particular modules that are there. So the kind of demo set that we'll be seeing here today is a two-wheeler electric vehicle. So in that, we will see how the connections can be done. So this is an overview of the total connection that will be done, and what we'll be focusing on will be the next thing that I'll be showing. So overall, you can see a throttle. So all these kinds of symbols, so these are created from scratch itself. So if you want this, this will be available for you, or if you want to insert different kinds of symbols, so there are options for those as well. So you can see insert symbol option allows me to navigate through the symbols that are available in my symbol library. And not only that, on the left hand side, we have a powerful search tool that will allow me to navigate through each and every type of classification available in SolidWorks Electrical. So for line diagrams, you can see black boxes, then brakes and electro valves like this. Lots of classifications I have created here for my usage. So standards like circuit breakers, buttons and switches, contactor relays, like this, connectors, all are already available. In case you are creating your own, you can also add it to existing libraries and utilize it. So these classifications will allow me to navigate through the symbols based on their properties. Now let's say if you do not understand which particular classification the part is from, but you do remember that what reference number it is. So if I say TR, it will try to find the particular data that is available. So if I say any other reference number, so like this, you need to understand what is the particular detail. So if you remember title, so if I just say TR, you can see based on that particular code, all the values are appearing. So in the list, you can see these are the TR symbols that are available, and it is quickly availing all of these symbols for me so that I can utilize them. So after choosing these particular symbols, you can easily place them wherever you want. And once you place them, so say if you want to place a motor symbol, that is not like this. So if I just place it, we have the option to view what is the name, or you can say the root mark of the particular component. So I've placed a motor already as motor 1 and 2, and that's why the system is automatically telling me that I'm placing motor 3. In case if it is not motor 3 and if it is something else that you're placing, you have the functionality to change that as well. And if you want to link it to an existing component, you have the option to do that as well. So I can select motor 1 or 2, and that's how I'll be able to understand. So what I'm doing here essentially is I'll be linking these components in such a way that I'll be able to understand what are the components being placed or being used. Yeah. So since I just want to stick with this particular symbol, so you can see this symbol also will be available like this if in the library itself, and it will allow me to give the connections I need. So in this line diagram page or overview page, you can see I have given cable connections between all of them just to show how the connection representation is going to be. And if you're interested in a thorough line diagram, so let's say like this. So out of this entire connection, overview of the connection, we're focusing more on the controller and what are its internal connections. So there are around 6 connectors that I'll be focusing on and I'll be doing the wiring for. So that is what is being represented here. You can see 3 wires are appearing here and going somewhere else. So like this, you'll be able to understand how the connection is going to be. So if I highlight any given cable, you can see this is the connection between all of them. And this will allow me to also view what is the connection between the two of them. So this particular cable that I have selected, that is 3 and 5, is connecting J1 component to J5 component. You can see the same over here. J1 to J5, the connection is available. So this will allow me to have a detailed overview as to how the connections are going to be. And not only that, you can also see that it is connected to J1 terminal 2. So this is what it is connected to. So you can see, and if I highlight this, you can see the where it is being connected. Similarly with this as well. So like this, the overview of the connection with the cable can be availed here, and you'll be able to add more cables, or you can take a look at what are the cables that are being used in the project as well. So apart from this, what else I would like to address here is, you can see that this particular symbol can be utilized in such a way that you can check its mark, its properties as to what is its class, the location where it is placed at. So I have created just one location and one function in our case. But if you want to have multiple locations, say if you want to have throttle connection, you want to highlight, so you can highlight that. You can create new locations as well. So you have the functionalities to do that. And apart from that, you can also check what configuration of the connector are we using here. So which will allow me to get a overview as to which connector I'm using, which configuration I'm using. And based on your customers, the configuration can change as well. So that also could be a factor for you to choose all the configurations available. We also have user data 1 and 2 along with translatable data. This is basically for your extra data if you want to add to the product, or if you want to add your own classifications, that option also can be done with the help of the customize button here. So not only do we have control over mark and data, we also have a control over manufacturing part details. So you can see this particular connection, I have already provided a connector, and the properties for that connector is also mentioned here along with the circuits that are available. So you can see this is a Fisher manufacturer data, that is the connector, and the reference for it is available here along with the description. Along with that, you can also see what type of circuits are being used. So when I select the circuit, automatically the circuit diagram also is being represented here. This is part of the software intelligence where it is telling you which component you are selected and which particular terminal you are taking a look at. So there are 6 particular power female pins that are available here. So that is what is mentioned here. Now let's say if it is not 6 pins, if it's more. So what we can do is we can add more circuitry and customize it to your own existing requirement as well. So if you want to search based on reference, you can search for that as well. So let's say if I want to add a new manufacturing part, we have again the same search tool, the powerful search tool that will allow me to take a look at what are all the components. So you can see if I select circuit breakers, all the circuit breakers are available here. Capacitors are available with the necessary, you can say reference number that is available. Sometimes if you don't know reference number, you can search by manufacturer also. So here I've just selected Schneider Electric. So if I just choose random ones, you can see ABB, Schneider Electric, AMP, like this it will be available. So if I want to segregate it based on ABB only, you can see automatically the system will allow that. So where it will allow me to have an idea as to what are the components I am working with, what are the details that I'll be utilizing. And not only that, you can also have your own customized library for each of your customer base, and you can have one common library which will be utilized for all. So all these kinds of changes can be available here. And this manufacturing part that we can see here is already added to this particular data. So let's say, for example, if I don't want this, I can just delete this, and you can see it turns red because this is not a satisfied circuit or a component, because you have to add a manufacturing part which will match this particular data. So in that case, I'll go back here and I'll try to find the same manufacturing part with the help of the reference that I have. So you can see there are two of the same kind, but I want the first one. So if the second one is a 10 female pin, so I just want a 6 pin. So I'll just add it to the project and we'll be able to have a look at the change in the color here. Okay. So these are the functionalities or introduction to manufacturing data that we'll be taking care of. So whatever manufacturing data that we provide there is basically what will appear in the component list here on the left hand side, where I'll be able to see where the particular data is. And if I want to understand what is the manufacturing part provided, I can just go to the properties and check it. So a lot of options are there for us to navigate through and utilize. So SolidWorks Electrical will allow me to satisfy any kind of requirement that is there in the industry standards in such a way that I'll be able to represent them both in the electrical interface and in the mechanical. So in the component list, if I want to find out where this particular B1 component is, so you can see this is battery, that's why it's showing the same page. Now let's say HB1, or let's say, for example, J1, I want to understand where it is. So all I need to do is just find it. It will zoom the particular page into the place where I was searching for it, and it will allow me to have a control over that. So coming to the circuitry, so we have seen up to now line diagram, what are the details. Coming to the circuitry, so whenever you are placing any component, it will automatically take the next number of the components that you have placed. So J1 to J6 had been placed, but when I started placing this, it will take as J7. So let's say, for example, if I try to place this, you can see P it will take. So if I just say I want it in the J series, it will automatically try to say J7 is the one that you have to place next, because J1 to J6 has already been added. So what I can do is I can just link it to J1. So like this, you can link it. Once you link it, it will also come as J1. So what I have done here is I have linked it to the first page itself, so that the system also will understand that these both are the same components but in a different representation. So what happens in circuitry is we understand how the entirety of the component is going to be. Here in the line diagram, I'm just saying that there is one line running through here. So what is the first line? The first line is just a connection between J1 to J5, but I don't understand what are the wires running from J1 to J5 exactly. So to understand that, you have the circuitry where I'll be able to provide any kind of wires. So you can choose how many wires you want to draw and just draw them like this, or you can make a single wire. You can try to add it multiple times. These functionalities are available. Here also we have insert symbol option, where the same kind of procedure can be followed, where classification you can use or filter you can use. But please make a note that line diagram symbols and circuitry symbols are not the same, because in line diagram it's just a representation. In this particular circuitry diagrams, what happens is each and every component has its own value, where it will have the terminal details. So if I want to take a look at this symbol, if I open it, you can see there are a lot of terminals that are available with the circuit details as well. So this is how each and every symbol is intelligent, and each and every wire is also intelligent. Why I say that is, if I select this wire and go to the properties of the wire, it gives me all the details I need to know. So here a 24-volt DC wire is being used, and the numbering group that I have chosen is 0. And it is a type of control wire, and if you want to change it to different types of wires, you can change them. And if you want to change the color of the wire on the particular page, you have a color palette as well for that. So you can go and choose it based on your necessity. So this color palette will allow me to change the colors. And not only that, this is for the schematics. If you want to change the color in the 3D also, you have the control to do that. So here it is all schematic dependent data. So we also have some formulae that are followed for automatic wire numbering. So you can choose whichever one you want to make changes to and make the necessary changes that you want to do. And coming to the next section, that is cabling, that is for routing in 3D, what is the diameter of wire that needs to be followed? So that diameter can be provided, section gauge can be provided, what is the wire standard, wire color. In case you want to provide the bend radius factor, you can provide the bend radius factor. And if you are not okay with, you don't have any specific bend radius factor, you can leave it as 0, and the system will intelligently take a automatic bend radius in such a way that there is no anomaly in the wiring. Okay. So apart from that, if you have specific details, that it will take like this. So here we can also see voltage and frequency, and if you want to give a different description, you can do that as well. So the entire line that you see is not just a dummy line, it is an intelligent wire which has the details of every wire that is out being used, and you'll also be able to utilize it in the 3D as well. So to draw these wires, to create these wires, we have options for that as well. We have a wire manager that will allow me to create different kinds of wires, as you can see on the left hand side. If you want to create it from scratch as a multiple group or a single wire, you can do that. And you can also choose what type of numbering that you want. So in case of harness customers, they always go for wire numbering, but if you go for power lines and wires, you can go for equipotential numbering as well. So all functionalities are available here. So all these will allow me to create an entirely independent circuit like this, which will also be propagated to 3D as well. So here what we are doing in this particular circuitry is we have provided the complicated connections in such a way that from terminal to terminal the wire must be drawn. So the system will understand which terminal to which terminal the wire is being provided. And now, once I have created this circuitry, the next job for me to do would be move to 3D and try to create an atmosphere where wiring can be done. Before that, I just want to talk to you a little bit on design data reuse. So what is design data reuse is, say for example, if you're going with multiple electric vehicles, but the controller connection is going to be this only. So in that case, what you can do is you can entirely select this page and you can just drag and drop it into the macros panel here, as you can see. So if I just place it in the macros panel, it will allow me to save the entire circuitry as a whole. So webinar unit controller. Okay. So I'll just click on OK, and here it is readily available for me. And not only that, if I just, let's say if I want to add a new page, and let's remove the title block for our usage. Now I'll just double click on this circuit, and you can see automatically it is going to come within the particular data, and all the data is being preserved. And not only that, I'll also be able to match it to a new project as well. So this paste special option allows me to match this entire circuit directly to the new project as well. Right now I'm doing it internally to the existing project, but since it is independent circuit, you can also add it to outside projects, and you will be able to save a lot of time in case of this particular reusing circuits. So any reusable circuits must be saved in this macros panel, and once we are able to have access of that, so let's say if I want to search for any kind of data, so right now I don't have the circuitry with me, and if I just want to search for something else, so I'll be able to find that as well. So like this, multiple options are there. So if I just say web and say find, it will find that circuit for me. So this kinds of powerful tools are available for you to utilize so that you can save a lot of time on the design side, and just keep reusing it and modifying it a little this side and that side so that you can save the time and probably bring it on the innovation side, and let's say input on a different end of design cycle rather than sitting and designing meticulously and wasting time on something that is not required. So basically all of this will be there. So let's say for example, if you have the circuitry done, and sometimes the circuit will be moving from page to page, the continuation will be there. So in that case we have origin destination arrows, where I'll be able to select what are the wires from where it is coming. So if I say from here to here it has to move, so what I can do, so let's take for example, I'll just place one connector here, and let's take it as P1 and it is 3 here. So I'll just draw the wire like this. It is continuing on a different page, let's say. So that new page, let's just create it. So here I just want to place the same thing again. So I understand that there should be a continuation between the pages. So in that case, what can I do? So after the wiring is done, so wiring is going somewhere, but I don't know exactly where it is being utilized. So here I can choose which page to continue it on, and I can just provide the connection like this. So here automatically it will allow me to take this data, and automatically it is providing some information there. What is the information is, it is telling me it is continuing on page 11. So page 11 on row 6. So this particular row concept will be available for title blocks if you want it. If you don't want it, you can go for column as well, or if you just want it with the page number, you can do those changes as well. So not only forward linking it has back linking also, where you can see from which page and which row it is coming, you can see the data. And not only that, it is also a hyperlink. This arrow mark, if I double click on it, it will take me to the page where the origin is going to be. So this will allow me to entirely keep control over navigation. Just like how we saw an index page, we were able to understand that we can double click on a particular page and go there. Similarly, origin destination arrows are also like that. And you may be wondering what happens if you have a schematic where this is not going to be utilized in case of manufacturing people. They don't have SolidWorks Electrical. So in that case, you can also take it into an PDF format, where I'll be able to retain the hyperlinks also. And there also, if you double click in the PDF, it will take you to the page where it is continuing on. So this completes the schematics part of the design that we have seen. So let's take a look at the 3D design that we want to do. So I already have one model here, that is an electric vehicle powered by the charging station. So this is a separate assembly. So I just want to, for now, just hide it just for our understanding. And here, this is the model that is available as of now. So in this, I just want to go for internal wiring only. So I'll hide the outer cover. You can see the placement of connectors is already done here. So what I am trying to do is, I have to understand how the connectors are placed. So if your mechanical engineer provides you the assembly like this, you have to provide a link to the SolidWorks Electrical. So we have the SolidWorks Electrical add-in in the CAD atmosphere itself, so that we'll be able to link it to the 2D and do the automatic wiring. So these connectors, I've placed them already in the assembly, or in your case, your mechanical engineer would have placed it for you. So what you need to do is you need to make the connector intelligent. So how to do that is, if you want to take a look, there are some details that can be provided, like connection points. So we know that whatever manufacturing part that we saw in the circuitry, we know that it has 6 pins. So the same thing must be provided in the 3D as well. So 6 pins are provided, and since I want to do a harness, I've given a cable point as well. So this allows the component to be not only a mechanical component, it is now an electrical component as well, because of the data that we have provided. So SolidWorks Electrical, you can see whatever project documents that you used to see here, same thing will be shown on the right hand side, SolidWorks add-in. Same data. And if you want to take a look over here also, it will come as a pop-up as a viewer. Okay. Now, then we have another components option also. So component option, where list of components that are there in the SolidWorks Electrical 2D is also available here, because I need to specify which is J1. So I know J1 is the first existing connector here. So let's take the line diagram. So J1, J2, J3, J4 and J5 and J6 are like this. They are supposed to be connected. So I know that this is J1, this is J2. So I need to tell the software that. So how do I do that is, the manufacturing part, the Fisher pin that I've used, that is the 6 pin, is available under J1 here, which will allow me to link it to a mechanical component. So if I choose this, it will ask me if I want to associate it with a part or an assembly. Since I want to associate it with a part, I can just mention this. So I'll say yes. So what you do once you associate this particular component is, you will be able to understand which particular cable point is being used, and which data is being used. Like that, you will be able to understand what is the information. So similarly, J2, I will take it here, and I will link the 3D part. So I have given hide associated components. So I've already associated J1, so that's why it's disappearing here, and that's why J2 is also, it will be hiding now. So you can see like this. So like this, we'll be able to give the associate option to each and every component that we want to provide it to, and say yes. So like this, we'll be able to give data changes and link it in such a way that we'll be able to understand how the components are being placed, how they're being used. So this kind of linking allows me to bridge the gap between the SolidWorks Electrical 2D and SolidWorks Electrical 3D. So here the system becomes intelligent, and not only that, it also understands what is the data to be used. So let's take for example. In this, I've just given all the associations for the J1 to J6 components. And once that is done, we have the entire set of how it is going to be. So the wiring must be done between these connectors. So you can see battery set is also provided. I've also hidden a few other components. I only want to show and focus the controller connectors that are available in this particular data. So here, what I am going to do is, up until now, what we have done is all is the wiring. So it's just a wiring. So I need to make it a harness. So how to do it a harness is, it is just go. I'm just going to select the entire harness that I want to create, except this connector, because this is not a part of the harness according to what I want. So like this, I'll be able to choose and add it to a harness. So how do I choose and add it to a harness is, if I right click and say add to harness, it will allow me to add it to a harness. So you can see already existing H1 and H2 are available. So what I'll do here is, I'll just delete the existing ones and just create a fresh one for our understanding. And I'll select H1 and say OK. So the entire thing I've selected as one harness, and I'll go back to 3D, where it will take the data what I've done in 2D, and I'll say route harnesses. We also have route of harness now, I will say route harness and it will automatically try to fetch the data. So SQL database is the mastermind behind this particular fetching between or collaboration between SolidWorks Electrical 2D and 3D. So what it does SQL here is it tries to fetch the data. So in harness 1, there are that many wires, and that many wires, how it is being fetched. So in each component, what is the data? So right now I have disassociated the first J1 component. I've only selected the other components. That's why you can see only the wiring available for this. And you can also see the branching between the harness in such a way that all the other colored wires are also shown, the core wires that are being used. Similarly with others as well. So this will allow you to understand how the wiring is done, what are the cores that are running through it. And not only that, if I go to edit route here, and if I just go for electrical attributes and see a cross section, it will show the cross section is going to be like this. So this will allow me to have a entire overview as to how it is going to be, how it is going to be utilized, and I also have a control over the wiring. So once this wiring is done, what I intend to do or what you would intend to do after the wiring is done is you need to flatten the route. So flattening which route, it will ask you which particular harness that you're trying to flatten. So I'm trying to flatten this particular route. So I'll click on OK. So this will directly tell me how the wiring is going to be. So once this is done, all I need to do is I need to generate the drawing of the particular data. So you can see like this will be available, and I just need to create a drawing out of this, and I'll be able to see the entire view of the particular data. So here, instead of this, so if I want to say, let's say I want to have a drawing of this entirely directly like this itself, I can go and do that, or I can generate it back into the particular data. So we have multiple options here that will automatically place this drawing into the project itself that I've already generated here. You can take a look. So like this, it comes with a circuit summary and bill of materials that are being used in the harness. If you're not interested in this, if you just want to see the list of wires here, you can see the length between one of them is 0 because some of them haven't routed, so I have not selected them. So in that case it will show, otherwise the length will be provided like this, where wiring is not done it will be showing 0. In other cases it will not be shown. So we have different reports that can be added as well, so you can utilize it based on how it is being presented. So we have standard to SolidWorks Electrical, which will allow me to get a control of all the errors and rectify them in case of any errors that are available in the project. So similarly in 3D also we have the same thing. So based on all of this, we'll be able to understand why we are doing this particular collaboration. So you will have this report once the routing is automatically done in 3D, and after that you can come and fetch the report data and you can generate the same. So let's say if you want to generate the report data in the form of Excel, you can just click on this button and it will immediately create a bill of materials or wire list in harness like this, which will allow you to understand how the bill of materials is being generated as well. So coming back to our presentation, so what is the main advantages for using SolidWorks Electrical is you can see productivity. Under productivity also we have intelligent automatic single line diagram schematics and all of that. Automation is a main thing that is the power of the tool here, and quality documentation, because it's exactly as what you would have used in the project that is being generated here. So any errors in that, you just have to change it in the drawing and it will be represented here. And collaboration, as you obviously have noticed, is very smooth between 2D and 3D, and it is very quick as well. And you can also publish intelligent PDF with hyperlinks as discussed before, which will allow you to understand and do the changes as and when you want. So any questions or queries that you have? You can please put forth any of them in the chat and I'll address the query. So, hi Venkateswar. So you're asking about conduit and taping option. So conduit, basically, we'll be able to use it in a different module of electrical. So in that, we'll be able to use the covering option that is available in our SolidWorks option that will allow us to provide the covering for a certain length of the wire. We have options in our example as well. And let's say, for example, yeah. So as you can see, if you have the data, say for example, if you want to understand what is the covering that you will be using. So if you go here, you have the covering option under electrical. So here you can go and add whatever type of covering that you want. You can choose the different types. You can add your own as well with the custom library option that is available, and you can also specify to what length that you want it and all of that. So once you have done with that, you just have to add it to the particular data. So like this, you will be able to view it. So coming to the next question. Yeah. So Vinay sir has a question. What about bill of material of complete components? Yes. So like I said, if you are creating bill of materials, so I've used only a few of them in my example. That's why you're able to see only that. So like I said, you have to attach the manufacturing parts to each and every component. So I've attached it only for the components that I've used. In case you have not, then it will not appear in the bill of materials. So that time what you have to do is you have to add it and it will reflect here. So that will be done automatically. In case it's not reflecting, you will just go for update report drawings and it will do the same changes that you want. Uh, Shivkumar sir is asking about routing of electrical wires that we call harness. Yeah, so wire routing separately can be done. Let's say, for example, if five wires are running, five wires will run individually. But in harness, what happens? Those five wires are grouped together and then the routing is done. So both the options are there in SolidWorks Electrical, and even cable also is available. You can go for whichever one you want. Vinay sir is asking about automatic routing suggested might not be practically achievable. How can we modify it in case of control panel? So in case of control panels, we do have something called as a define routing path. So that will allow us. So even in case of, let's say, for example, if you're dealing with normal harnesses also that are going to be used, you will have to do it in a particular format only. So in that case, what you can do is there is an option called define routing path where a 3D sketch can be provided from where to where you want. So the wiring will take up that particular format itself and it will allow you to make the changes. So Shivam sir is asking, can we extract mechanical and electrical bombs separately? Okay, so mechanical bomb can be extracted separately with the help of CAD tools, sir. So under 3D CAD tool itself, you can generate the bill of materials for CAD, that is mechanical. For electrical, you can take it in the electrical 2D also, or if you generate it in the drawing, harness drawing also, you can take it from there. So Bijumon sir is asking about creating a new schematic. So creating a new schematic and creating a routing. So let's say, for example, if you are want to create a new schematic like this, you will be able to draw a new thing. Then you have to find the exact data, and you have to just make the changes as per how your design is, and orientations also you can see how it can be changed. So like this you'll be able to make the changes, and you can draw also however you want based on your necessities, and you can do the changes. So for that you would have to attend the training. If you want to know more details, you can surely attend the training where I'll cover each and every step of how you can do the changes as well. Okay, so if Rajita ma'am is asking about, suppose if we have step file of PCB placed in an enclosure which has connectors part of PCB, can we use SolidWorks electrical tool for automatic routing? Yes, so if that particular step file, if it is compatible with SolidWorks, you can surely take and turn that part into an electrical component. Like I told, you can give some intelligence to it and you can do the routing. But the schematics has to be done in SolidWorks Electrical itself. Then you can easily go for routing the uh, same components, just like how I have shown. So it's the same. So basically the same idea. It's just that the components will be varying, and you have to vary the dimensions of the wire. That is all based on your design. So Dinesh PR sir is asking about if we have option to bunch individual wires. Yes, you have that option as well. So what you have to do is you have to choose a single connector every time. So let's say, for example, if I go back to my circuitry, if I just want to bunch J1 to first two wires, I can just select only these two and continue that and add it to a harness separately. So I will name it as H1 J1 harness. So I can bunch only that if required. So that is also available. Bijumon sir, again you're asking about circuit diagram and how to create bill of materials. So bill of materials, basically we'll be going under reports. So under reports itself, based on what you would have provided in the components. So in the project, I've given 6 components and I've given 6 manufacturing parts for those individual components. So once I have added it in the 2D, automatically it will be populated in the report itself. So you don't have to manually create, it will be automatically available based on what you would have provided here. So Ramakrishnan sir is asking if we can take this simulation wire routing length for physical arrangement. So the wire length that is available in SolidWorks Electrical due to the automatic routing, it is based on which path it is taking. So SolidWorks Electrical is set in such a way that it takes the shortest path, the wires. But in case you wanted to take a certain path, then the length will be longer. So shortest path maybe if it is 10 mm, but if the manual path, if it is 12 mm, the system will show you the changes and you can take that. So you cannot see what is the heat or power running through the wire, but you can see what is the length and you can take it for the physical arrangement as well. And last, we have Naresh sir asking about which license we need to have for electrical routing and electrical schematic in SolidWorks. So if you want to do manual routing, we have SolidWorks Premium itself, that is in CAD itself, you'll be able to do it. So if you want the entire data what I have shown, that is the schematics and the 3D routing that we have done, then you need to have SolidWorks Professional, SolidWorks Electrical Professional, which is a combination of both 2D and 3D. So the license will be available for that. Dinesh sir is asking if we should place the mating connectors in the model before starting the route. Yes, so either as an electrical engineer, you can place it, or you can have your mechanical engineers place it based on how they want it. And after that, you can probably convert it into an electrical connector and then go for the routing. Yes. Any other queries? We have a question from Mr. Karthik as well about if any offers are there for the particular licenses that we have discussed. So that's a great question. So you can contact our marketing team or any of one of us for any further queries that you have, or if you want to discuss any commercials for this, or you want a private demo or any kind of benchmarking to be done in your system. Surely we'll be able to help you out with that, and we'll be able to provide this information whenever you want. After this, if you are having any other queries, you can surely contact us and you'll be able to uh, discuss the same. I can see that Naresh sir is asking if we can get the session as a recording. Surely, sir, you can get that. We'll be providing that to you as well. So, yeah, you can use it, no problem. So, thank you so much for your valuable time, team. So, I really appreciate it, and hope we get in contact soon. So, thank you so much. Have a good day.